Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Why am I singing this? I'll tell you. Our next caller is Dawn.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello. I wanted to know if you could give me some information about moving to Scotland. If the Social Security can help you.
If you want to know whether the Social Security can actually assist in your move to Scotland?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, they can, but they are unlikely to.
Pardon?
Yes, they can. It is permissible, but they are unlikely to do so.
Why?
Because the Social Security doesn't really have a reputation for dishing out brass. Why do you want to move to Scotland is the question they will ask, so I might as well ask it.
Just for a change.
Just for a change. Well, that rarely qualifies for a grant because you just want to change.
Yeah, but
why should the state pay for you to have an environmental change just because you want one?
No, we're just going to see if movement could get a job.
Well, yes, I do appreciate that, and there used to be a scheme for transference for you to seek jobs elsewhere.
Well, when I asked them, they said that you have to be going up there to already have a job.
That's right.
They said that. I said
that's the usual rule.
Yeah, but I said but we haven't. But they said that we have to have proof.
Mm. You see, if he got a job up there,
yeah.
then they would have a very good reason for spending that money.
Yeah.
Because in the long term, it would benefit their particular unemployment benefit office or social security office in that their amount paid out per week would go down. But it won't at the moment. The amount paid out per week will go down in their office, but it'll go up in another office.
Mm.
So they won't save any money. And they come in for a lot of criticism, the DHSS, but they have got a responsibility to not waste public money.
Right.
And allowing or paying for you to go up there really would be, in many respects, a waste of public money if all you want to do is try for a job. Let him go out and try and get one. If he gets one, then you'll get your brass.
Right.
Okay.
There's one more question I wanted to ask Allan. Would you know your programme?
Yeah, I've come to know it.
Is it taped? Because last night we was listening to it and I tried to ring you, and there was 4 of us sat here listening to it, and we was all arguing. My husband said that he came in one day to the radio. Do you know when you had that show? The radio show?
I don't know what you mean, the radio show.
When it was that celebration or something.
You
the
haven't...
opening day.
What opening day? The open day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he said that he found out then that he was taping it, that the show was taped, and it was saved for so many months or something.
Oh, I know what he means.
Well, is it taped?
Right. So the question, is it taped, and you're listening to a tape recording now? Is that the question?
No, I don't mean that. What I mean is, like, is the programme taped?
There is a very low-quality tape made of every programme.
There is a quality tape?
No, a low quality, a very poor quality tape. It's called the logger, L-O-G-G-E-R. So everything that gets broadcast is recorded.
Yeah.
So that if somebody said, for example, that I said X, will you tell him to shut up? I'm trying to talk to you.
I need to shut your mouth. He's trying to talk to me.
Thank you.
Right,
now,
right, Allan.
If anyone suggests that I committed a libel or used a profanity, a swear word, on the radio, say last Tuesday, then we've got a copy of that programme and we have to go through it and find the time that the person makes the complaint for, and then we can say, well, no, it didn't happen, or yes, it did, and we'll sack him.
So this conversation I've had with you, was it taped?
There is now a tape recording of it, yes.
Oh. Because they were arguing saying that it wasn't taped. My husband said it was because he went to the show.
Yes, there is.
And he's seen you.
There is a tape recording made of it. Unfortunately, that tape recording isn't of sufficient quality for us to use it for anything else than a very poor reference.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Right, thank you anyway.
Cheers. Ta-ra.
Bye.
How do, Anne?
Hello.
Hello.
I want to talk to you about drug addicts.
Go on.
Yeah. A lot of them think that they can't be cured. And they can if they want to be cured. And I think a lot of them don't realise that if is the word. You know, the main word. If they want to be cured, they can be.
The answer is yes, but they need a tremendous amount of self-control and willpower for it to succeed.
I'm talking from experience.
Well, yes, but Anne, I do accept that if they want to, let's first of all look at it in a different light.
Yeah.
It is impossible for them to receive a cure or to be cured of drug addiction unless they want to.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't mean that just because they actually want to, that they will succeed. They do require on top of that an awful lot of help, an awful lot of support, and equally a considerable amount of willpower.
Yeah. I'm talking, well, it's my son, actually. I think the main thing is that the family stands behind them. I know it's a wrong thing to get into drugs, for a start off, you know, like, when they turn to you for help, if you refuse, well, that's not going to help one little bit. But if you back them, like I backed my son, and I got him into hospital, and he's been there 3 weeks, and the lad's doing marvellous, and I'm proud of him. I hated him when I saw him sitting there, drugged up to the eyeballs. Didn't live with me, lost everything. But now, well, I'm proud of what he has done, you know.
Well, and so you should be, and we wish him luck for the future, but he's not out of the woods yet after 1 month.
No.
Okay, love?
I know that.
All right, well, we wish him luck.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
It is possible, not always definite, but you've got to want to. If you are a drug addict, that is the only thing for you to do. The first step to getting off is wanting to. Hello, Christine.
Hello, Alan. Could you tell me why offshore radio was made illegal?
Offshore radio, providing it's outside the jurisdiction of this country, is not illegal.
Oh. Well, do you know, radio stations water out in the North Sea, away from the 3-mile limit of our waters, well, they are illegal, apparently.
No, they're not.
Oh. Do you mean that Radio Caroline isn't illegal?
That's right. Radio Caroline, as a broadcasting unit, is perfectly legal, as was Laser. However, what is illegal is for British companies to advertise on there, and for British companies or individuals to supply them with the requisites of their medium. In other words, to supply them with food, water and the like, and they have to get it from other countries. But Britain hasn't the power to make something illegal that is outside their country.
Oh, I see. Well, do you know why it was made illegal in the first place? I mean, it wasn't doing anybody any harm, you know.
Well, actually, it was doing people harm, or could have done people harm. We're okay up here. We haven't got such a competitor, and we're very strong anyway. But not all independent stations are strong. In fact, an awful lot of them are suffering severe financial problems. We're lucky. We're not. Indeed, we are so successful that we've been able to save other radio stations. However, an extra competitor who hasn't got to work within the rules and confines of the broadcasting industry of this country isn't anything anybody needs. So they were doing companies harm.
Red Rose Radio. The Midnight News, this is Bill Bingham. Mrs. Thatcher is trying to play down the sensational resignation of Michael Heseltine. She says she's sorry he quit as Defence Secretary and says she wasn't behind a campaign to force him out of his job. Mr. Heseltine says he resigned because Cabinet was trying to gag him for his support of the Europeans in the Westland helicopter row. And he's accused Mrs. Thatcher of bulldozing her colleagues in a way which he says left him no alternative but to quit. Mr. Heseltine is refusing to comment on claims that he was set up by other ministers, and he won't talk about his political future. But Deputy Prime Minister Lord Whitelaw is defending Mrs. Thatcher against the accusations of a set-up. Lord Whitelaw says Mr Heseltine resigned on a specific point and is now trying to broaden the issue.
I think it is very unfair on the Prime Minister, very unfair on the way in which she has dealt with him and with all her colleagues over a considerable period of time, and I do find that very regrettable.
The government is now closing its ranks behind Mrs Thatcher. Foreign Secretary Sir Geoffrey Howe says the way the Prime Minister's running her cabinet is perfectly in order.
There's nothing, I think, remarkable or astonishing or different in the light of history about the way in which this government has been run. That's why it makes it all the sadder that Michael should have chosen, to our surprise, on this issue in that way to resign from the cabinet.
The Westland saga which led to Michael Heseltine's downfall has taken a dramatic new twist. The millionaire former boss of the world's largest helicopter company, Allan Beswick, has bought up 4 million Westland shares in a stock market swoop. He now owns 10.5% of the company, putting him in a powerful position to help decide its future. Here's our defence correspondent, Paul Maurice.
Allan Beswick retired last year from the helicopter company he founded and sold out his stake for an estimated £17 million. Since then, he's tried to launch his own rescue bid for Westlands, but backed out when he saw the extent of the company's financial problems. In the latest round of rescue bids, Mr Bristow has stated that he's on the side of the European consortium, but his current buying spree may be an attempt to prevent either the European or the Sikorsky Fiat bid from succeeding. In any case, he's expected to move that next Tuesday's crucial shareholders' meeting should be adjourned, and his large stake is enough to get that motion passed on its own.
Other stories in the news: a Cheshire judge has ordered that a mother who killed her 3 sons be sent to a psychiatric hospital and kept there indefinitely. Sandra Riley drowned her 8-year-old son in the bath while she was on probation for killing her 2 younger sons. And Manchester Airport is to become the second major airport in Britain to be patrolled by police armed with submachine guns. Police at Heathrow have already started a regular armed watch. Independent Radio News.
I am Odin, Lord of Asgard, God of Midgard, and ruler of Valhalla, Hall of Silver and Gold, in King William Street, Blackburn. I bring you my personal pledge that the reductions on my finest diamond jewellery are genuine offers with as much as 50% off. Diamond rings previously at £450 are now only £225. Call in soon to Valhalla, King William Street, Blackburn. I defy you to buy anywhere else.
Blinking heck, Dave, why don't you get a decent radio to match this flash car?
Well, that one cost an arm and a leg, but it's never been much good.
Yeah, you need to contact West Horton Car Radio, mate. They've got superb systems by Blaupunkt and Panasonic, such as the Blaupunkt Miran, which will fit for under 100 quid, including the aerial and speakers. Hey, and they've got the Blaupunkt D-Stock range at less than half the normal price. None of this distortion like with one of them.
Blaupunkt what?
Blaupunkt. It's German, ain't it? I thought you were supposed to be brainy. Hey, you can also get electric windows, vehicle alarms and car phones fitted by West Horton Car Radio.
So, find the right station with West Horton Car Radio, Church Street, West Horton. Phone West Horton 814-229 before you crack up.
Hello, Richard Serling here, inviting you to join me for 2 hours of Super Soul here on Red Rose Radio every Saturday night between 8 and 10. I'll be featuring all the very latest American imports on album and 12-inch, as well as my specialist segues of jazz and northern soul. The sound of Saturday night guarantees you more of the music you love. 2 hours of special soul, all for you here on Red Rose. Why not join me and the music this weekend?
Our Richard Serling and Soul on Saturday night. It sounds grand. 5 past midnight. Welcome to Friday. The weekend is almost upon us, which is cheery news for some and not so cheery for others. I'm one of the ones it's cheery for. If you want to join us on the phone in, you're more than welcome. The number, as always, is Preston 561000. Lines are engaged. I'm going to put this on a tape, you know. The lines are engaged. Do keep trying, 'cause we're here till 2.
24 hours a day, Red Rose Radio. Allan Beswick.
Right, monkey. I'm forgetting who's on line 8, Alice. Who? Hillary. Hello, Hillary.
Alan, I reckon I could make a better job than you of doing a phone-in.
I'm sure you could.
I'm sure
I hope someone one day employs you.
Alan, why are you so rude to people? I just don't understand. Were you brought up to be so rude?
I don't think it's any of your business.
I do, because you're so rude that you could demoralise people when they try and phone up for a serious kind of argument or question.
Tough.
If they need help, and you just demoralise them.
Tough.
It's not tough. Don't you feel guilty about it?
Not in the least.
Well, you should do.
Well, fine, I perhaps should, but I don't.
And I don't see how you have these views about President Reagan. He's ambitious. He can control other countries. He's like...
Ambitious? What is his ambition? He can hardly have much ambition left. He's ready for burying.
Is he, heck? He's had a fine acting career. He's like Maggie Thatcher.
She's had a fine acting career as well, has she?
I never said that, Alan.
You said he's had a fine acting career. He's like Maggie Thatcher.
Yes, he's like Maggie... He is like Maggie Thatcher because he's got provinces over his country. Don't you find that?
He's got his what?
He provinces over his country.
He provinces?
Yes. Don't you know what that word means?
In the context you're using it.
Educate yourself, Alan.
In the context you're using it, I've never heard it used that way before. Would you like to tell me what? Would you like to tell me what it means?
I wouldn't.
Oh, well, go away then.
Well,
how do Shane?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
From Radio House today. You know, me with two earrings in, who you slagged off
yes.
within 2 minutes of being there.
Well, primarily because you were a prat.
No, well, you know, before when you give a mention, well, you got it wrong anyway.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've got something wrong.
It was 3 of us who could read and write, and it were 2 of us who could put 3 words together to make a sentence.
Well, I didn't actually say 3 of you could read and write. I said you could almost read and write.
Well,
I didn't
we're
really
learning,
go
you know, we're getting on with it, like.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, well...
Which ear have you got the telephone to? The one with the 2 earrings or the one without?
The one with the 2 earrings.
Dear me, doesn't it clatter?
Yeah, sort of, now and again. Yeah.
Not very droll.
Yeah. Oh, well, those 2 fat lads sat together anyway today, you know, who kept talking like all the time.
It's just as well, really, wasn't it? Because the majority of you was struck dumb, probably in awe of my superb style.
No, well, it was nothing but mouth from them 2, though, was it?
Indeed, but we'd have had difficulty having conversations without people like that.
Yeah, well, so half of us talk still, though.
I'm sorry?
Half of us still talk, though, eh?
Still talk?
We talk too, yeah.
Oh, I see.
I reckon some of them were scared of you.
I see.
Because, you know, big fella sat there, hefty-looking bloke.
I see.
Yeah. So I reckon they were scared of you, half of them, anyway.
Very good.
This is the first time you haven't cut me off anyway, so I'll go now before you do anyway.
Well, bye-bye then.
Keep smiling, Al.
I always do. How do who? Harold!
Hello.
How do?
I mean, Alan? Alan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. I want to talk to you about... I work at Preston Youth Enterprise at the moment, and we're on 68 pence an hour. Can you hear me? Hello?
I've already answered the question. Can I hear you
sorry.
with the answer yes?
Sorry. Well, we're on 68 pence an hour, and I just think it's disgusting. What do you think?
Then leave.
I know, but I'm just saying, do you not think that they should put the hourly rate up?
That depends. One of the problems about a wage is it's either big or small, depending on whether you're paying it or getting it.
I know, but 68 pence an hour, I mean, I could do with more myself. I mean, everybody could do with more. I mean, 68 pence an hour. I mean, let's have facts right, like.
Well, we have the facts. You've told us about 6 times the fact.
68 and a third pence, sorry.
I see, so you've already had a rise.
No, I'm just saying, I'm sorry, what it is too...
Harold, let me sum it up for you. You don't think you paid enough.
Yeah.
There. That was easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but...
Well, you're probably not, but what do you propose to do about it?
No, like, you're supposed to be listening, Mum.
Whoever has told you that?
Pardon?
Whoever has told you that?
Oh, just a friend at work.
Well, he's misled you. I am not a listening man. How do Matthew?
Right, Alan. I'm ringing about that woman who was on the day before yesterday saying about the nutrients in your diet. I was just wondering if you're taking her advice.
Now, I'm not awfully clear which caller you mean.
She rang up about midnight. She was saying, have you got about fibre?
Ah, fibre. Yeah. Fibre's not exactly a nutrient.
Well, same things, isn't it? It's all good for you.
Is a bus the same thing as a tractor?
Well, no.
So they're probably not the same thing either.
Well, fibre then.
Fine.
I'm just wondering if you're taking her advice.
No.
Why not?
Why should I?
That's good advice.
Well, it may well be good advice, but I'm not going to change my lifestyle merely because of some woman on the wireless.
Oh, I was just wondering.
Well, you now have the answer. You need wonder no longer. I'm happy to be able to be the cause of the cessation of your wonder.
The what?
I'm glad you don't have to wonder anymore.
Oh, right, thanks very much then.
It really was a pleasure. I think you must be high fibre. You make me feel like crapping. How do, John?
Hello, Alan.
Hello, John.
Yeah. I'd like to discuss Michael Heseltine, and his retirement from the cabinet.
Retirement? What a nice word. Go on.
I wonder what your opinion was. First of all, I'll give you my opinion first of all, on his political motives perhaps for doing that. As far as I can see, the reason why he's done that is, in order to set up himself against the Prime Minister to be the future leader of the Conservative Party, rather than as a specific statement against the cabinet at the moment, That's how I see it anyway. What do you think about that?
Well, what evidence do you have to support that?
The Bible, a book of our time.
Quite. How do Chris? Is Chris going to speak to us, or is he still wondering whether he's a he or a she?
I'm a he, Al.
Excellent. What do you want?
Yeah, yesterday you were talking about your computer.
My word processor and computer, yes.
Yeah, what was it, the Amstrad 6128?
I think that's the number. I've probably got the number wrong, but it's something like that.
What sort of stuff do you do on it like?
I just use the word processor.
Oh.
I don't use the computer. I don't understand it, and I, at the moment, have no use for it.
Yeah.
My wife plays with the computer side, because we have a program each, one of these discs each, and she plays with the computer side. And all she's managed so far to make it do is to write, I've forgotten the sentence, but it wrote the sentence and would have presumably done so forever. She's quite proud of that. I was fascinated by it.
Yeah, I play loads of games on mine.
Do you indeed?
Yeah, don't you play any games now?
None whatsoever. Mine is a tool of work. It's for me to use for working, not playing.
Yeah, my friend's got the Amstrad. The graphics are absolutely brilliant.
Are they indeed? There are no graphics on ours. Perhaps we need
excellent games.
I'm sorry?
Get some excellent games for it.
Ah. Well, I'm not really interested in games.
Yeah, I've got the Spectrum. Sinclair one's pretty good.
Was that it?
Dunno, what else have you got to say?
Well, I haven't got anything to say. I was rather hoping you might lead us somewhere, but you seem to have led us nowhere. Never mind. Perhaps you should play with a computer rather than a human being. Human being conversation appears to be beyond you. But thank you for joining us. Pardon?
Bible food.
Bible food?
You're a buffoon.
Oh, a buffoon. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't sure what you'd said. Off you go, back to your joystick. How do Neil?
Hello, Al.
Yep.
Can you tell me how many radio stations Red Rose own?
There are two answers to that. They own 3, but they hold 4 franchises.
Which ones? Apart from Red Dragon.
Well, there's Red Rose, and they own Radio Air in Leeds, and they own Red Dragon, which is a...
Cardiff.
Well, it is Cardiff, but it's also Gwent.
Yeah.
Gwent Broadcasting ceased broadcasting and trading early in 1985, and Red Rose Radio acquired the franchise for Gwent and the franchise for Cardiff and joined them both together to run as one station called Red Dragon Radio. And I'm pleased to tell you that it is an astounding success at the moment.
I know, I'm a student at Cardiff and I've listened to that, and it's alright apart from the fellow who does the phone-in overnight.
Well, the phone-in, do you mean on a Saturday and Sunday? The Major?
Overnight, after midnight, he does a phone-in, a bit like this, only...
Well, the only one I'm aware of on Cardiff, or on Red Dragon, is the Major on a Saturday and Sunday night. They don't have one midweek, I'm told.
Al Prophet is a Saturday then.
And what's wrong with him?
Well, he agrees with people.
Well, I do sometimes.
Yeah, but he's a lot more agreeable than you are.
Well, he's new to it. He'd never done it before.
I know.
And it'll take him time. But our programme controller, because we have the same programme controller, Mike Enfield, tells me that he's settling in quite nicely and he's got a large audience, and that's what counts.
Yeah, I do listen to it. Like, it is good, but it's not as hasn't got the same sort of pizzazz as yours.
Pizzazz? I don't think anyone's ever told me I had pizzazz before. I think it's the kind of thing that one takes to the doctors and get the receptionist to write a prescription for. I think it is. It gives you pizzazz. It also gives you wind. Perhaps pizzazz is wind. It sounds like it, doesn't it? Pizzazz, you know. Ooh, have you pizzazzed? Oh, somebody's pizzazzed in here. Thank you very much, Neil.
Right.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Off you go to Cardiff. Hello, Geraldine. I'm sorry? Bye-bye. Geraldine, I hesitate to tell you this, but I really don't think you were 16.
Here's some exciting news for your kitchen. Bell Cuisine, Lancashire's #1 kitchen company, have been appointed main area stockist for AEG. AEG have the widest range of kitchen appliances in Europe and feature top quality and reliability at sensible prices. Call into your nearest Bell Cuisine showroom today and see exciting new innovations like the Blackline system, Vario Deco cookers in 10 different colour schemes, and an incredible range of fridges, freezers, hobs, ovens, dishwashers and washing machines. Bell Cuisine and AEG, the perfect combination for your kitchen.
Now showing Robin Ross 2, the sequel. Just as you thought of staying in next Monday night, Robin Ross returns to the halfway house on the A6 between Preston and Chorley.
During the last few days of the Nigel Home Sale, we have some superb final reductions. Suits from £55, knitwear from £12, shirts from £8.95. These offers must finish Saturday, so hurry along to our fashion-conscious stores in Blackpool and Lytham today. And remember, you can have the goods on immediate credit up to £1,000, subject to status. What a fabulous opportunity to buy exclusive merchandise at rock-bottom prices. Come and see us before Saturday. The sale must finish then.
How do, Pamela?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
I just wanted to compliment the BBC Two programme this evening on the IVF. It's just about time that somebody showed the human side of the IVF situation, not just the medical side.
Yeah, you better tell us what IVF is.
In vitro fertilisation, test tube baby.
Yeah, I know, but it's just for everybody else.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes, it's just that everybody had an uproar not long ago saying, you know, this, that and the other, that it wasn't right. That was the bottom of it, a lot of people. And tonight, I hope that the people that watch the programme understand how we feel when it is actually happening to us. You know, do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and there hasn't been that big an outcry against...
Well, there has actually, because there was an act going through Parliament trying to stop a lot of it happening, and now...
Well, let us be specific.
Yeah,
the act that was going through Parliament, or the bill that was going through Parliament, was actually against using the fetuses that are not implanted for experimentation. That's what the most recent outcry and act was about.
Yes, but the whole of the act was in about 13 parts, and through all the uproar now, at one time you used to have the chance of going as many times as you could and actually getting pregnant. Now it has put a limit on it. Also the cost has done it too.
Well, tell us what the limit is.
Well, 3 times. You can only have the actual course of treatment 3 times. You actually have to go all the way through and have the egg actually transplanted. So in actual fact, you could go 2 dozen times, but you can only go a full 3 times, which it sounds perhaps not a lot. It's a peculiar thing. It's the cost, a lot of it, but like I said, the act did cause a lot of problems.
Indeed, the act did cause a lot of problems, but the implication of what you started to say, and you seem to have changed your stance slightly, was that the act caused that ruling about 3 times, and the act clearly did not.
It did help.
Indeed, but that was not a result, a net result of the act. It wasn't written into the act or the bill that you would only be able to undergo the course 3 times. That is not so, is it? The Act does not limit the number of times for any given individual. The Act deals with the principle.
Yeah, but we were asked to go to our local MP
Yes.
when the act was going through. So I turned up at one of the, what are they called?
Surgeries.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I walked in after a girl, and she came out and chatted to me just before she went, and she said, you're going to get nowhere with him. So I went in anyway, you know, and I knew what was going to come. His attitude was, I don't think it's right. I'm your local councillor, and if I don't think it's right, that's it. He says, I've had so many hundreds of letters. And I said, well, okay then, out of your 400 and odd letters, or whatever they were, how many of the people were actually going in for the IVF? He said, well, most of them, he said, are married women that have brought to me. Some are not married at all, and a very small percentage were married with children. Now you tell me, how can those people that are not married or married with children understand what we are going through mentally and
But Pamela, no one is suggesting that the anguish of parentless children is to be disregarded. What the act and the attempt at an act was about was the moralistic issues of test tube production of fetuses. Now, just because, well, I'm sorry, let me finish. Just because a fairly large section of the community are childless and want to rectify that doesn't mean that the morals of society have to be injured. Now, I'm not saying they would be injured, but if a person, an MP, believes that they would be injured by such a procedure, then he surely has an obligation to attempt to forbid that procedure. You don't have to actually suffer the disease in order to know about the cure.
Yes, I know what you mean, but it's just that it was such a good programme this evening, and I would like people to really think about it before they pass judgment.
But Pamela, the programme, judging by what you've said, because obviously I haven't the benefit of seeing it, I was at work, but the programme was about parentless children.
Yes.
Yes. Now, the Act isn't aimed at parentless children at all. The Act is aimed, if I remember correctly, at the use of fetuses for experimentation. Now, that is a separate issue. I do appreciate that it would not have been possible to create test tube babies, as they're generally known, without some experimentation. However, what society has to consider is whether it is prepared to allow the use of a fetus for experimentation. Now, the legislation and the bill in Parliament was debating that issue. And in all honesty, Pamela, that issue has to be debated by society. It is massively important.
I really do agree with you. I mean, I can't really say that I'm 100% for experimentation, but yet how can I not be? Because it is in actual fact helping me. But
well, Pamela, you seem to have a dilemma.
Yeah,
and do correct me if I'm wrong, but the dilemma you seem to be facing is that if you think about it coldly and rationally, you would be against it.
Yes,
but you see it, well, just a moment, and yet you see it as a ray of hope out of your predicament.
Yes, but it would just be very nice if people could...
Well, let me put something to you, and it's a poor analogy, but it is an analogy. You presumably agree that it is wrong to steal money from post offices. Yes. However, imagine the situation of a man or woman in dire poverty, faced with the loss of their home, the potential loss of their children, and they need money quickly. They see, sometimes, that ray of hope on the horizon. All I've got to do is turn over a post office and my problems are solved. That doesn't make it right to turn over the post office. Now, the analogy is weak, but you see something which, in your heart of hearts, Pamela, you seem to be conceding is morally wrong, but you see it as a ray of hope out of your dilemma, out of your problem. Now, is it right? can it be right for something that is morally wrong to be done merely to appease the very real pain suffered by a small section of society?
Yes, but there are restrictions. You see, you can think...
Well, Pamela, that question was one of an open-ended question. It was a large question. It wasn't down to the specifics.
It was, but the experimentations are limited to 17 days.
Indeed, but if you believe, and I haven't yet formed an opinion on it, because I actually think I haven't got the right to come to a positive decision on it yet. However, if a person believes that a life is a life as soon as it is created as a fetus, be that in the womb, in the normal manner, or through some abnormal manner, such as a test tube production. If it is a life, it is a life. Full stop.
Well, I don't actually believe that life begins until after the nervous system is fully produced in that embryo, which is
well, Pamela,
20 odd days. So the experimentation limit at the moment is 17 days.
So are you saying that a chicken's egg, a fertilised chicken's egg, is not alive?
No, I wouldn't consider it to be alive.
Well, that's fine. You have that distinction.
Yes.
Now, others do not have that distinction. Now, surely it is right that people consider it, and they ought really to take into consideration the emotions of people in your unfortunate position and painful position. But whilst doing so, they must also consider the victims. And if you consider life to commence at conception, then anyone that suffers after conception is a victim. That's the dilemma. That is why it's right to debate it. I actually reserve judgment on the decision because I honestly believe that life is a woman's privilege. Men do their bit, but life is actually about women. Women are the people that have to carry that fetus, living or dying, living or meat until birth. It's a woman that has to carry that, and so it really is something that women should be given the absolute and unique right.
But it does take a man's consent as well when you're going into the test tube.
It does take a man's consent, and
much of a good thing when they understand as anybody.
Absolutely. But what I'm talking about is not the decision to have a test tube baby. I'm talking about the moral issue of what happens to a fetus. Yes. And I honestly believe that that is a woman's jurisdiction. And men, yes, are entitled to counsel. Men are entitled to discuss. But I think the decision should be made by women.
Yeah, yeah.
Because one of the great problems of our society is men make decisions and foist them upon women.
True.
And that's been going on for generations.
Yeah.
And when they start doing it with something that at the end of the day affects a woman's body and not a man's, I think that is sacrilege.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay.
I'd like to wish, if anybody's listening, all the luck to everybody who goes to St Mary's Hospital at Manchester.
And so would I. Whether I'm in favour or again, I think they're entitled to the look.
Okay.
Cheers, ta-ra. How do Neil?
Hello.
Hello.
I'd just like to say a few words about Michael Heseltine. Even though I don't agree with the reasons why he's done it, he has shown a lot of things by resigning from the cabinet. Because he's shown up the others that just shows up how much they are sucking up to Mrs. Thatcher. Really.
That really depends on whether he's telling the truth or not. Others have denied that Mrs. Thatcher rules cabinet with an iron rod.
But it looks as if, they won't say anything against Mrs. Thatcher, and he's the only one that's prepared to stand up against her, even though he might be doing it for his own benefit.
But indeed, is it not fairly easy to believe that what he's doing is posturing, as one of our callers mentioned earlier, posturing for an attack on the leadership of the Conservative Party?
That's what I mean. He's doing it for his own.
Now, can we not then perhaps accept that if he is posturing for such a thing, then he's made an excellent job of showing Mrs. Thatcher to be a tyrant and showing all his potential rivals for the post to be wimps?
Well, he has, yeah.
In one fell swoop. One wonders whether it was a very, very clever publicity stunt, because let's face it, the money doesn't matter to him. The guy's a multimillionaire. So perhaps it was a very, very clever publicity stunt.
Well, it'd have to be very clever, and if it is, that stinks even worse, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but are we going to find him out when it seems people are running round to believe him when the majority of members of Cabinet say what he is saying is actually inaccurate?
Yeah. Well,
who do we believe, the majority or the cowboy that appears to be levelling his sights on a particular position?
I think we'll have to go to the majority, but we'll have to wait 30 years to find out the truth.
We will have to wait 30 years to find out the minute, but again, there has been an allegation made by Mr. Hasseltine, although in a very gentle and disguised way, that Cabinet minutes were doctored anyway.
Yeah, we could always ask Jeffrey Archer, he'd know, wouldn't he?
Well, Jeffrey Archer will know, of course, he knows everything that goes on in Parliament.
Like, you know.
He'd be doing a book about it, I should imagine, in a couple of years. All right.
Yeah.
Cheers, Neil.
Thank you.
Ta-ra. It's 29 minutes to 1. If you want to join us on the phone in, the number is Preston 561,000, and Andrew is next.
Hello from Internet Dealer, offering quality new and used Fords at competitive prices. Why are more and more people choosing to buy their new and used Fords from International Ford? You, sir, can you tell me why you came?
So, most certainly, I always have yen for Ford, so I left the land of a rising sun in search of a Ford dealer with a big reputation.
And how did you find International Ford?
I found International Ford at the M6-M55 intersection on Garstang Road, Broughton, near Preston.
Yes. And are you happy with the deal you got?
Yes. You know, Confucius, he say, man who drive Ford car have everlasting happiness.
International Ford, a whole world of quality new and used Ford cars.
You'll be buying a car that's better by far at International Ford.
Blinking heck, Dave, why don't you get a decent radio to match this flash car?
Well, that one cost an arm and a leg, but it's never been much good.
You need to contact West Horton Car Radio, mate. They've got superb systems by Blaupunkt and Panasonic, such as the Blaupunkt Miran, which will fit for under 100 quid, including the aerial and speakers. Hey, and they've got the Blaupunkt D-Stock range at less than half the normal price. None of this distortion like with one of them.
Blaupunkt what?
Blaupunkt. It's German, ain't it? I thought you were supposed to be brainy. Hey, you can also get electric windows, vehicle alarms and car phones fitted by West Horton Car Radio.
So find the right station with West Horton Car Radio, Church Street, West Horton. Phone West Horton 814-229 before you crack up.
Price Busters by Blackpool Tower is closing down. Everything must go by Saturday, January the 11th. Price Busters reopens Good Friday, March the 28th. Meanwhile, everything reduced with rock-bottom prices to clear stocks by next Saturday at Price Busters.
Hello, it's Morning Paul Fairbairn here with a word about the Breakfast Show Ring Thing competition. I'm now on the lookout for your letters nominating not yourself, but someone else for a strange phone call from me. Think of a friend or relative who you think would appreciate a call and send me a few details about them along with their phone number. Don't tell them you've written. We do want it to be a surprise. And please give me your name and address too so we can let them know who's put me up to it. So get writing now to Paul Fairbairn at the usual Red Rose address, it's in the phone book, and listen out at breakfast time for the results. Oh, excuse me.
Hello?
Hello, Ernest Mulringer Jr. here.
What a divvy. I'll do, Andrew.
All right, Alan.
Aye.
I'd like to hear your own personal view on Michael Heseltine's decision to accept voluntary redundancy yesterday. What do you think about it all?
Well, I never give opinions in order to start a conversation.
You don't? Well,
that's true.
I just think at the moment that the country's in a bit of a mess at the moment due to the present government and that they have a lot of internal problems. And, you know, what we're looking for in the future as far as political parties are concerned. What suggestions do you offer?
You still haven't told me anything. What you've said, Andrew, is that the country's in a bit of a mess and they seem to have internal wrangling within the Conservative Party. That's hardly a contentious statement, and it's got very little to do with Heseltine's resignation. Would you like to tell me what you think about Heseltine's resignation?
Well, I think really that he's a very strong person, and that he's done the best thing anybody could do in his situation.
You'll have to be more specific. What situation makes it right for him to resign from the cabinet in such a dramatic and publicity-conscious way?
Well, the cover-ups that have been going on over the last few days.
Or the ones that he says have been going on?
Well, in my opinion, I mean, I would be prepared to believe this.
The cover-ups that he was a party to, and indeed was prepared to continue to be a party to.
No, I don't think he was...
Well,
really
I'm sorry, you're actually wrong, aren't you? Because he didn't resign as a result of Mrs. Thatcher saying all future statements will have to go through us. He said, I'm perfectly happy to have all future statements go through you, but I will not retract the ones that I've already made.